It's a question photographers ask all of the time. Does gear matter? Well, to have this conversation, I brought along a friend.
Hi guys, Mayor Otu here, documentary photographer based in Lagos. And in today's episode, I'm arguing that gear sometimes does not really matter.
And I am Khalil. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here to argue that gear indeed does matter. Let's go.
So I start with my first point, which is a quote that I know is very interesting. It says that it is an illusion that photographs are made with a camera. They are made with the eyes, with the heart, and with the head. When you think about cameras, you are thinking about it as this big thing, but cameras are just tools. It could be your phone, it could be anything. But what actually makes people to connect with the photographs you're making is not the camera, because the camera does not have lighting. The camera does not have composition, it doesn't have framing, it doesn't have lines, texture, all those visual elements, they don't have it. It is your job as a photographer to find those elements. And whether you have a phone, a full frame, or a mirrorless, if you do not know those visual elements, your pictures will not happen. All you need to understand is, can I communicate visually? And visual elements are the things that help you in communicating, not your camera.
Listen, gear matters, like all of the time. But especially in challenging situations, like, have you ever shot an event at night, outdoors, with a D300 or maybe one of the Canon Rebel series with a kit lens? The struggle is epic. Only the right gear in that situation will bail you out. If you don't care about gear, it means you also don't have a continuous light to lug around that would save you, right? What happens when you have to shoot something and it's raining and your gear is not water sealed because it's my eyes that matter, so any camera I'm with at the time will serve. The right gear is the only thing that can bail you out. Again, gear matters.
You know, someone once said that the best gear, the best camera is the one in your hands. Not the one that you have, not the one that you own, not the one that's in your box. The ones in your hands at the scene. So imagine you seeing this very intriguing, visually appealing scene, and then just because you were not with your full frame, you say, oh, let me rush home and go and get my full frame. The moment you think about it, you miss the scene. The moment you move to go to your bag to get your full frame, you missed another one. So by the time you get back, you've actually had missed more than 1,000 seconds. At the end of the day, it's the person with a recording device at the scene that wins. Not you with the big gear, and not you that wants to go back and get your lens, your camera, whatever that you think is big enough for what you do.
The funny thing is, the people that will tell you that gear doesn't matter are usually the people that already have all of this gear that they're telling you doesn't matter. I mean, they know. A lot of professionals know that there are certain genres of photography that if you do not have the gear, don't even bother venturing into it. For example, how are you going to shoot sport if all you have is a 35mm 1.8? Are you the referee? Are they going to let you into the center of the pitch? You need a long lens. You need a 70 to 200. You need a 150 to 600. You need the right gear for reach. How are you going to shoot a double with a 50mm? Again, you might get a few images here and there, but you're not going to get those world-class, exhibition-worthy images if you have very limited gear. Listen. Don't listen to these people who tell you that gear doesn't matter. It absolutely does.
So most times, the reason that people want to buy big gear is because of the quality of the images and the things that they can achieve with it. I would take for people that buy glass lenses, those 2.8 lenses, 1.2 lenses, because they want to create images that have that bokeh kind of thing, you know, the very sweet, shallow depth of field. But, shocker, these editing softwares can do them. Imagine you spending ₦1 million+ to get a 1.2 lens, but someone will just do at the click of his hand on Lightroom and get the same result. So why spend the money? You shoot with the phone and you say, oh, my phone, the images are small, I can't do this. Bro, Photoshop is there. It can be 2 megabytes, but at the end of the day, you can make it to 100 megabytes. So what's the fuss about? And that leads me to money. Money. Do you imagine how much you spend on buying this big gear? Millions of naira. Someone said, I want a medium format camera so that the size of my files will be bigger. Bro, we know how much medium format cameras cost. Millions of naira. Let me not shout when it comes to money. So imagine how much you save. Don't spend money. Don't spend money, save your money. Gear does not matter.
Yeah, okay. But listen, this last point might sound a little superficial, but hear me out. Every time I pull out my Nikon Z7 II with a 51.2mm, everybody takes notice. Photographers and clients alike. I mean, I once took a picture of somebody at an event, and unknown to me, she had taken notice of what camera it was I was using. By the time I left and came back round, she calls me and she goes, "Oh, so this is how much that you've been working around with?" I know it sounds superficial, but I felt myself, it felt nice. There's a certain status, a certain reputation that comes when you have the right gear with you. Don't judge me, you know? I might be making this sound like a playful point, but the truth is, it is good for your reputation when you have the right gear. Your clients feel like they are in the right place. Even if you're not using all of this gear that you have, they just feel like, oh yeah, of course he has this big camera and these many lights or whatever. I am getting what I paid for. It doesn't matter whether you're using it or not. It's just for the perception. And amongst your peers as well, you know, there's a certain level to having gear that most people don't have, or at least having the right gear that you need. So again, superficial point or not, gear does matter.
Okay, calligraphy, I've heard. But I'm making cases for people who don't have that kind of resources to actually buy. You get, there are people who don't have that kind of money to buy these gifts, so they stop photographing because they don't have the money. Come on now.
I hear you, Mayor. I hear you. Your points are valid. But I think it will be difficult for you to argue with what I'm saying as well, you know? So maybe, just maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle.
At the end of the day, does gear really matter? Yes, it does. To some extent. Well, my own point is it shouldn't stop you from creating. Don't ever allow the lack of gear to stop you from creating.
What do you guys think? Let us know in the comment section. Are you team gear matters or gear doesn't matter? You know, like, please subscribe and share this video.
Starting from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even on YouTube. Make sure you share with one person.
Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.